Sorry to interrupt your recitation of Quran, Qira'at al-Quran. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. I highly and humbly request you to recite this part of Dua Tawassul together, and then we will have a reflection upon it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya Aba al-Hasan ya Ali ibn al-Husayn ya Zayn al-Abidin ya ibn Rasulillah ya Hujjat Allah ala khalqih ya Sayyidana wa Mawlana inna tawajjahna wastashfa'na وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد with the name of Allah, we will start our reflection upon this specific part of Dua Tawassul that has been narrated and quoted from infallible Ma'soom to have said, describing our fourth Imam. Ya Aba al-Hasan, Ya Ali ibn al-Husayn, Ya Zayn al-Abidin, Ya ibn Rasulullah. So we were, of course, you know that, we're following Dua Tawassul and the description of Ma'sumin in this specific supplication and dua. Why Imam Sajjad alayhi salam has been called as Zainul Abidin. This is what we want to do today, and if inshallah we will have some other sessions to talk about, so maybe we will talk. We'll reflect and concentrate more on it. But if not, I hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept this qaleel from us. So Zainul Abidin, literally speaking, Zainul Abidin means the beauty of worshippers. We have a person even in our community to be called by the same name, like Zainul Abidin, which is of course a very good title and good name to be called. And I hope that when we bear a title, so we can manifest the title as well perfectly. And then as people, they are doing it in a very perfect manner, representing actually the very picture of Ma'soom. Zainul Abidin, the beauty of worshippers. What is specific, for example, about Imam Sajjad alayhi salam to be called as the beauty of worshippers, or the decoration of worshippers? Because mostly worshippers themselves, they are very important. This is not a very simple, normal position to say that, okay, we're worshippers and then this is something normal. No, of course, worship, to be worshipper of God, to be called as Abid by itself is very important. So, who is to be called as Abid first? Not every normal person like me. No one is going to call me as Abid. Already I'm doing my 5 times prayer. Okay? Already I'm praying to God 5 times a day. Already I'm fasting a month of Ramadan. Already I'm reciting Quran. But are you calling me as Abid? Brother Abu Haidar, I'm asking you, for example. You will call me as Abid? No, I'm Shaikh because I'm wearing this specific clothing. If not, I was so normal like other people. So by itself, to be called as Abid needs some requirements. Not every person is to be called as abid. So who is the worshipper of God? At least a person that more than, for example, his normal obligatory prayers will go to cover all recommended prayers, like nawafil, for example. Okay, like for example, we have 8 rak'ah for noon prayer, 8 rak'ah for afternoon prayer, like 4 rak'ah for, and then you know that will be 51 rak'ah of prayers. So this is one. Then every night or every day, or at least almost a year, a person is fasting. Not only that, you will find him in every simple position, he is worshiping God. So that person with all these requirements and qualifications is to be called as abid. There is, of course, a difference between a person who can be called as abid and a person who is called as abd. So they are different. Sometimes you have a person who bears the title of abid, sometimes you have a person who's been called as abd. Which one is more important? So basically we will think that, okay, abd means servant. Abid means a person who is actually having this title, these requirements. So abid necessarily should have a better stance over abd. But then now, why is it that in our daily prayer, we say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ashhadu an la. Sometimes we forget the very simple prayers. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. We don't call Prophet to be abd and rasuluh. We call Prophet to be abd and rasul. So have you ever really thought about it? Have you ever really reflected about it? Or did you ever ask yourself that why Prophet first has been called as abd and then rasul? Because the maqam or the position of ubudiyya is something that even an abd should do much to achieve that. Why is that? I will give you some examples. Like you have heard the story of Barsisa al-Abid. He was a person praying to God for almost 70 years. Now he was included at the end of his life among the worshippers. He's been called already as Barsisa al-Abid. So he had this title. What happened? He was mustajab al-da'wah as well. What is the meaning of mustajab al-da'wah? Means already as soon as he was praying into God, the answer would come quickly. This is the position that very minor people would have. Means I will pray to God, I will ask God for something, and then the answer would be given immediately. But then what was the fate of this Barsisa Abid? He has been deviated. Go and read the history of Barsisa al-Abid, you will find that what happened to this person. This is first. There is no any guarantee, even for Abid, for worshippers. The second is that, well, when you are Abid, still you can go through kind of just decorating your a'mal and your actions for the sake of other people. At the same time, you are to be called as Abid. Like, I think I gave you this example several, maybe last year or the previous year to that last, that there was a person, and this is a very famous example in my country. There was a person coming to the mosque every morning, and then that person would hear the voice. He was praying alone. Let's say like 1 hour before the morning prayer. Then he would normally hear the voice behind him while he was just standing in prayer. He was presuming that maybe there is a person behind me watching me. So let me beautify my recitation now. Let me just go and have a very long, for example, worship to God. Let go for a long prostration. Sometimes something like this will happen to the people like Shaykh, especially like me, that now, for example, there are, mashallah, 10 lines of people that are standing behind me, 20 lines, tomorrow 100 lines. Oh my God, I'm very important right now, for example. This is our shaitan. So we have our own specific shaitan as well. So this person would hear, for example, the sounds, and then every time, prolonging the very worship every day, then one morning he said, okay, let me see who is behind me. Let's greet him. And then he just turned his face, he saw a dog behind himself. Now, he was praying all these days for the sake of a dog, not for the sake of a God. This is important. Recite the salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This is really unfortunate. So that person already was being maybe called in his own village or tribe as to be Abid, but in reality he was not. What I want to say is that Abid can sometimes be mixed with some portion of Riyah, show off. Okay? Whereas Abd, or to be the servant of God, means a position that already the heart of that person has been purified for the sake of God. That is why we'll find in our daily prayer the position of ubudiyah just precede the position of even prophethood. So this is very important. وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ first, and then Rasuluh. Means the position of Abd or Ubudiyya for Prophet Muhammad was more important, even comparing it to the position of prophethood. This is very important because there is nothing in it. It is only for the sake of God, and that is why it has got more value. Now let us return. Now we will call Imam Sajjad alayhi salam as the Zainul Abidin. And this is a very great position for Imam Sajjad alayhi salam already. You're not only Abd, you're not only a true Abid, but at the same time, you are the master of worshippers. Why? Why Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was uniquely called to be Zainul Abidin? Why not other Imams? Let me give you some of the ahadith from, for example, Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. Recite the salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala. Like Imam Baqir alayhi salam, Imam Baqir alayhi salam already is not a normal person like me to be surprised by the worship of his father. But he has been surprised. In some of the ahadith that we received from Imam Baqir alayhi salam, that sometimes people were really frightening about the life of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam because he was so much into worshiping God that during the day he was standing like a stick, like this, without any movement, so concentrative about the worship that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, Imam Baqir alayhi salam once said, I went to see my father to talk to him, and then I saw the position of my father while he was standing in the position of the prayer. I mean, he was worshiping God, he was praying. So I saw him, he was really skinny, and then he was very thin, that even I would just look at his feet, was very skinny, so much that I was afraid maybe these feet and these legs cannot tolerate the weight of the body anymore. So his forehead was affected, of course, too much by prostrations a lot, that it was mostly like injured. Then, for example, a person came to ask even a slave woman of, we call it as Amma, a slave woman of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, that tell us about Imam Sajjad more, about when he is in his private moment at home. And she said, do you want me to give you a very elaborate understanding of it, or very, for example, having a glance of it? So that person, no, just give me a basic thing. She said, well, whenever I will go to his room to present the food, for example, or to just already open his bed, I have in my life never seen him but in the state of praying God. So this is the life of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. The question is, some people might say, well, we don't have, like, even in Imams, a person like Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. This is the only unique title of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam to be called as Zainul Abidin. We don't have Imam Sadiq alayhi salam to be called as Zainul Abidin. We don't have Imam Baqir alayhi salam to be called as Zainul Abidin. Even Ali ibn Abi Talib has not been called as Zainul Abidin. So even I want to say that Ali ibn Abi Talib was not even praying God like the way that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was praying. If what Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was doing was something right, and it was something that was expected from human being to be implemented and to be practiced, why other Imams did not do it? If, for example, that level of worship is that level which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants a person to do and to command, why even other Imams did not do that? This is actually a very serious question, I think. And then addressing this question needs, of course, sessions to talk. So you will find in the time, let me just disclose a little bit, unveil for you the circumstance and situation of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Who was Imam Sajjad in the view of the people of those days? Sorry to say that, but Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam was considered to be a revolutionary person. A person who already rebelled and stood against the government. Okay. This was the image of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. Who was Imam Sajjad alayhi salam? Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was son to that revolutionary person, to that rebel, let's say. Astaghfirullah. We seek refuge to God to say something like this, but I want to portray the whole image about Imam Sajjad alayhi salam to find out. Then, what and which year exactly Ashura took place? What was the year? 61. Okay. Then what happened? Less than a couple of years, what happened to Yazid? He also died. Okay. Out of a kind of extremist approach to wine, gambling, and those type of things, intoxication and those things and elements, he died less than a couple of years. Okay. Now we have the Islamic society that does not have the caliph anymore. I mean, let's say, so-called caliph, of course. Now, in one side, we do have the Al-Zubayr, that they were very prominent in Hijaz, in Mecca. We do have Al-Marwan, that they were very preponderant, let's say, in Syria. They were in clash already. Al-Zubayr and then Al-Marwan. You know that, you have seen maybe that movie of Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, you will understand those clashes, up and downs, those challenges, tensions. The Islamic society was already in a turmoil. It was not something like saying everything was relaxed. And Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was also there. 9 years just passed so that they will have a very comprehensive government, a caliphate like before, led by Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. So Marwan al-Hakam was ruling for a year, he died, and then Abdul Malik ibn Marwan came to reign over the people. You know the story of Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was already being titled to be the dove, Hamamatul Masjid, means the dove or pigeon of the mosque, because he was also a abid. Always reciting Quran, always, worshipping God. He was very famous, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. He was very famous, of course. But then when he received the news that your father died, and now it's your time to establish your own government, he did something like this. He was just reading Quran, and then he closed the Quran. I don't know whether he kissed it or not, but then هذا فراغ بيني وبينك. Now we are separate. Now it's done. Maybe astaghfirullah, rhetorically speaking, saying that I don't need you anymore. now I reached, now let's say my requests and my prayers have been answered. Thank you, God. Now we're separate. So he did what he did. A bloodshed. So much that he told, his ministers, then his governors. Like what? Like whom? Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, exactly. You know the stories of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. He came to Kufa. He wanted to quite exactly. Kufa is actually an arsenal, we can say, that was not a normal city. Soldiers were actually living and inhabiting in Kufa. Kufa was a strategically very important city. That is why Mukhtar came to just conquer Kufa. Then every kind of, let's say, revolution would start from Kufa, because Kufa already was inclusive of the soldiers, already very well trained martial, let's say, governors, and then the soldiers. So this Hajjaj came to the mosque of Kufa, and then he gave this mission to his soldiers to hide their swords, like here, circling and surrounding the mosque. He went to the pulpit and podium, said, I will see the heads over the bodies like the fruits over the trees, that now is the time to cut them from the trees. The very first sermon that he started to deliver in Mosque of Kufa, he did like this. People of Kufa, who are you to say something like this? Started, throwing stones to Hajjaj, and then Hajjaj did something like this. He ordered the soldiers that they were hiding the swords among the crowd or surrounding the mosque, they came in. It has been mentioned, they killed every single person that day in the mosque, that the streams started running from the blood of the people. Like this. Then Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was the governor of such, for example, government. He was actually an abid beforehand. Okay? Then it took 9 years so that Abdul Malik ibn Marwan would have what Hajjaj also did to Al-Zubayr, for example. Abdullah ibn Zubayr himself. Abdullah ibn Zubayr had the influence in Mecca. So Kaaba itself was something very important for Abdullah ibn Zubayr. What happened that when the Zubayri's armies, they one day after another, they have been defeated. So when the army of Hajjaj already seized the city of Mecca, and then they came in also, Abdullah ibn Zubayr went and sought asylum to inside of Kaaba. What Hajjaj ibn Yusuf did? Destroyed the Kaaba over Abdullah ibn Zubayr with whatever was there. Like the governor, a representative of the caliph, destroyed Kaaba completely, ruined it, everything finished. And then poor Abdullah ibn Zubayr was thinking, like, for example, these are like people like the Shias that will respect the Kaaba. Oh no, this is Kaaba, this is Haramullah, this is secure, security is there. It has been mentioned that no one should be killed. They ruined everything. It was just the whole softened, let's say, ground. So Imam Sajjad alayhi salam was living actually in this specific era. And then I want to tell you that having the position of a revolutionary person gave no time to Imam Sajjad alayhi salam to go any further in the direction of his father. Then I have to tell you more by this kind of tactics that Imam Sajjad alayhi salam already had. And then he started to implement. He could have actually a very noble position among these people. So much that they respected Imam Sajjad alayhi salam even more than those caliphs like Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. This is very important. And then how Imam Sajjad alayhi salam could do that, I will let you know. And then by the result, he's been called as Zainul Abidin. Thank you very much, dear brothers and sisters. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this very little from us out of His abundance and abundant mercy upon us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our tulithima. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to include us among the real servants and then abad of His. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.